Good morning, Periscope family. And I am gonna, let's see if I can get the Facebook folks on here. And hey there, Yvonne. Welcome, and thank you for joining. No sound. Interesting. I'm not sure what I might have done there. I must have touched a button. Sorry, I'm going to move you a little bit and I'll put you back in. I'm going to try and stay live. And do I have sound now? Hello. For my Periscope family. Do I have sound now? Awesome. Yvonne, are you good? Hopefully, still no sound. I wonder what happened. I'm not sure. I'm going to suggest hopping off and hopping back on. And I don't even know, you may even have to go through Twitter. So if you're having sound difficulties, hop off and hop back on. I'm hoping that will fix that. I have sound. I turned my sound up, but I've got at least one person who says I have sound. So hopefully that will fix it. If not, you can get access to the video through. Okay, great. If there are any technical difficulties, you can go through Twitter, Facebook Live. I'm hoping you guys are good. And my name is Rosemary Blash, and I am the director of Daystar Rising Academy. And I am going to be talking to you this morning a little bit about just looking a little closer at some things. But before I do that, I want to mention that Yvonne Hicks, who is on our Periscope broadcast now, she scopes on the first and third Wednesdays of each month at 8 o'clock. And her title is called This Is That, Making It Plain. And she shares God's stories, wonderful stories about conversations that she's had with the Lord. And they're very encouraging in terms of even what she has seen in her own personal growth and her life. So I encourage you to hop on the first and third Wednesdays of each month and catch This Is That, Making It Plain. Get some more information there. My husband also scopes on Wednesdays, the alternate Wednesdays. It is the second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 8 o'clock with Father's Heart to You. And he's sharing the Father's heart for you, really. It's words of encouragement and just some key elements to being successful and walking this, the Christian life. He goes through and talks about, the importance of prayer, of getting away with the Lord, getting yourself built up, even in times, especially in times when it may seem chaotic and a lot of turmoil. And here is my information, Daystar Rising Academy, and I scope on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., and you can contact me by going to daystaraa@gmail.com. Just wanted to share with you this morning for a few moments the title of the scope is Looking a Little Closer, but the program is Welcome Home. And I am doing my part to really secure, kind of establish, support home, the idea of home and family and the importance of that, because our families are key to our society, and our children are part of our families. So we want to do what we can to bless our families, to be a blessing to our families, to be a blessing to our children. And absolutely, it's important, and our future depends upon it. So one of the things that I do mention quite a bit is Common Core. Hi there, Carrie. Good to see you. Welcome. And I have mentioned some concerns with Common Core in the past. And even if we're now going to having more autonomy as by state, so that we don't necessarily have a national Common Core, the Common Core state standards. But a lot of the states, and it will probably continue for some time, do still use Common Core as the standards. So there's still issues to be aware of. There is, things will take time. So, even though we see change politically, and we see maybe an emphasis, a change in the emphasis, I know there is emphasis in giving the states back their autonomy in terms of determining what will be taught and the standards that will be taught. But the point is that it's not going to happen overnight. So I wanted to just kind of say that, because that's important to be aware of. It's not like it's done and over and the battle is over. Far from it. We still have things that we still need to be aware of. And particularly if you are a homeschool family, I want to encourage you to remember our hello, Philly Drew. Thank you for joining. I want to encourage you to remember our children that are in the public schools and the private schools, or in the more of the traditional settings, because all of our children are going to impact all of our future. So even though you're a homeschool family and you've committed to that, and really homeschool families are my heroes, those parents, you do an awesome job in terms of educating your children. But I want to encourage you not to forget about the kids that are in the private schools. And not that you have, but sometimes we can get focused on what we're doing and think that the battle is won. We know that we've got our children where we want them, and we're going forward. And homeschooling is a very, very, it can be overwhelming, it can be daunting, but there are resources out there that can actually support you. But let's not forget our children that are in the public and the private schools as well. And this morning, I just wanted to mention a few things, and just to let you know, we're going to go. My goal is to go to about 20 minutes, not too far over that 20-minute mark, because I do value your time, and I appreciate you spending the time with me today. And replay viewers, thank you so much for being here. Awesome. It's really, really good to see you, Carrie. I'm glad that you're doing well and still teaching. We need those good teachers in our schools. I've been thinking about and looking at, a little bit more closely the turmoil that we've seen in our college campuses. And one of the things I've been thinking about is, are we seeing, when we see some of these reactions to, particularly when speakers are coming to college campuses and they are prevented really, in a lot of cases, from speaking. Either there's a total, they've been canceled out, or there have been these protests that have arisen. And I'm looking at, well, there's a reaction, obviously. Is the reaction because these students have thought about what is being said, thought carefully, or are they hearing something and kind of reacting to what they're hearing without really thinking about what they're hearing? And we are all subject to that. And we need to be careful of just reacting, kind of a knee-jerk reaction, where we need to look a little bit deeper, a little bit more closely at what's going on and what the truth of the matter is. And so this is where I have been looking a little bit more closely at charter schools. And I taught for 20 years. I was in the classroom for 20 years, spent a good amount of that time, probably half of that time, in the Christian schools, and then went to the charter schools. And there were a lot of things that I liked about the charter schools. And there were a couple of reasons that I'm focusing on this at this point. One is I was reading an economist, Thomas Sowell, who is an economist and a political theorist. And also my brother actually made a video a couple of years ago talking about charter schools and some of the benefits. And some of the benefits are that it does provide competition for the public schools, and competition is good. We need to, it's good to have that competition, because what you're going to do is you're going to step up to the plate and do your best. You're going to look for the best, and you're going to really strive to offer the best when it comes to schools to those children. So you've got the healthy competition. Also, being in the you've got the choices. Parents can choose, and they can look critically at what they, where they want their children to be, and that runs the gamut from homeschooling, private school, charter school, or the traditional public school. And all of that is a good thing, because we are, our children are different, our families are different. Seasons, you may choose to homeschool for a season and then choose the charter school. All of that, and speaking from personal experience, when I think about my husband and I and what we did with when it came to our children and their education, we prayed about where they were going to be, and we made decisions when we saw things over here that were not working or were not good. We made changes, and that is not necessarily it's not an easy road to walk through. We made mistakes, but yes, prayer is the key. But we consulted the Lord, and then when we felt like we needed to make an adjustment, we did. We made those adjustments, and families need to be able to do that. They need to be able to have those choices so that they can, pray about, look critically, and think carefully about where their child is going to be. It may be that you are in a place where that public school, that classroom, that teacher is the perfect teacher for your child. And stick with it. Don't feel the pressure to move. Listen to what the Lord is telling you to do, because teachers, and I've seen it, and I've experienced it, I've seen teachers go the extra mile and really do whatever they can to teach those children, and that can be where your child needs to be. So I want to encourage you always, seek the Lord, pray about where your child should be, and then commit to that. And when you see that there is a change coming, go ahead and make the change. The Lord is not going to leave you in a place where you are feeling scattered, or you're not doing the best for your child. So we have the choices, and we have the competition. Also, with charter schools, they are able to make choices in terms of what curriculum they're going to follow. So they still have to meet the standards, but they do have the opportunity to choose how they're going to actually present the information to their students. So, that's a good thing, because oftentimes, there's maybe two states. I think it's typically the largest states, California and Texas. Whatever they do, the nation tends to do the same thing in terms of what curriculum they're going to follow. So charter schools have that freedom to really look at what they are going to do, or what program they're going to follow to educate their children. And I know for me, I saw where the children were making progress to a certain point, and so because we started noticing they're not making it past this point, the school where I was teaching did make some changes, and that's a good thing. When you see that you're not really benefiting your children, you make the choice, you make the change. So those are definitely good things that I want to make mention of with respect to charter schools in particular. And there are very good traditional public schools as well. But I also just want to offer this as something that we need to continue to be aware of, and that is that the charter schools have some things that may be of concern, one of which is the school board is unelected. So you have an unelected school board, which means that you have the level of accountability is much less. You can't go to the school board and you can speak to the school board, but when it comes to, if you're not satisfied with what's going on in your school, you don't have the ability to vote that school board in or out. So that's of concern, and that can actually be attached to some larger problems when it comes to our government. The one of the issues that I had in terms of Common Core was the development and the creation of those standards were created by folks that had absolutely no knowledge of education or child development, and that is we still have that influence. So my suggestion is to be aware of what your children are learning. I know a lot of parents we've seen on the internet where they have brought concerns about homework that their children are receiving, and the even some of the things that are being taught and the way they're being taught. And there's the issue of students that are expressing gender confusion, and the whole bathroom situation. Those are things that impact or can impact our schools and our children. And we as parents and adults, aunts and uncles, need to be aware of that and be able to answer that. Even if your child is in that environment, there are things that we can do to protect our children. And one of the main things that I want to suggest is one, being aware. Two, noting and noticing some of the things maybe that you were taught as a child that maybe they're not getting, in terms even of let's just take literature, certain poems that are taught, or the way that math is taught. That's very different from the way that we were taught when we were in elementary school. So be aware of those things. Look for resources that you can gravitate and really receive some information and some strength from, and to help your children. Help your children where you can. There are I'll mention a couple of resources that I know personally that I've actually put together. One is the Daystar Rising Academy, and daystarrisingacademy.org. If you go to that particular website, there is information in terms of what I provide as far as tutoring. I have a few blog posts on that website that talks about the importance of living literature, of the benefits of tutoring if you want to pursue that for your child, if you want to supplement, and then there are things that I'm going to be continuing to add to that to suggest that you can even gather yourself in terms of literature, in terms of math, in terms of how do we approach math when we have our students in a system that may be confusing for them or for you. Also, blashlearning.net. There are some additional blog posts on there that can provide some information for you, and there's a little bit of a different feel. There's some different blog posts on there. So thank you for putting that up, Kevin, at blashlearning.net. And if you, it would be great, and I would appreciate it. And particularly if you go to either one of those sites or go to both, if you find that the information is valuable for you, beneficial for you, share this with folks that you know. Replay viewers, go to those resources, share those resources, and I'll be putting more information on there in terms of other resources that you can glean from. And I'll always, hey Kim, thank you for joining. One of the things that and Rochelle, thank you for joining also. One of the things that we can do, and we have the opportunity to do as the church, is to share information. And there is a lot of information out there that can be of benefit to your children. And I think that some of our college students need to be reminded to look a little bit deeper. And so that's one of the things that I want to encourage us as adults to do as well. Know that we're in a season where there is opportunity to grow and to allow our influence to be felt as the body of Christ. We need to look carefully to where that that influence needs to happen and why. The charter school situation is just an example. There are other issues that affect our families and our society that we as a church need to dig a little bit deeper and really see how it impacts and how we can impact. Taking our those seven mountains, those mind molding influences, and really being a force and a source of information and change in this country. So thank you. I wanted to share that this morning. I appreciate you hopping on. Please share this with your friends. And I just want to say a quick prayer just to wrap up our time together. Father, I thank you for our viewers, and I ask that you would just continue to make aware for us what it is that we need to do as the body of Christ. I thank you that you have gifted each person out there listening with talents, gifts, your particular bent. The way you have wired us is important, and it influences what we do with our lives, and we want to be submitted to you. So, Father, I thank you that you are continuing to speak to us, allowing, we ask you to shape our perspective and cause us to be attuned to your will and to your ways, Father, in Jesus' name. So once again, thank you so much. Enjoy your Saturday, and hop back on. I will be hopping on at various times, but definitely on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. And I just encourage you. A Father's Heart to You also will be coming on Wednesdays, and This Is That is also Wednesdays. So be sure to take advantage of those resources. This Is That, Making It Plain, first and third Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Catch Yvonne's Facebook page as well, and also A Father's Heart to You, second and fourth Wednesday of the month. Thank you so much. Blessings, and have a wonderful Saturday.